What's going on, my There's Hope family? It's Dallas here. Welcome back to another hopeful conversation. This is episode 3. We have a wonderful guest today, and we're excited about this one. This one is titled Navigating Life Abroad um, out in Italy, but we're going to let her tell her story. Come on, y'all, welcome us together, Jay Chanel.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here.
Welcome to the show, Jay Chanel. Welcome to the There's Hope family. We appreciate you taking the time to be part of this conversation with us.
Thank you
So
for
we
inviting me.
know we want to. You're welcome. We want you to jump right in. Tell us a little bit about you, your hobbies, some things you like. Come on, let us know who Jay Chanel is.
Okay, so obviously, J Chanel is my nickname, but my actual name is Jayla Chanel Franklin. Um, I am currently in the U.S. Air Force. I've been in the Air Force for almost 5 years now.
Okay.
It's been an experience. I actually do love it though. I'm in school and I travel on my free time, and I've managed to be able to, go through all my training. And the first base that, I got was Italy, which
Nice.
was definitely a great experience for me being so young.
Okay. Okay. Great. So traveling is one of your hobbies.
Mhm.
Okay. What's another hobby?
I like to read. I
Okay.
do I do enjoy like creating short stories. I haven't done it in a while, but I do plan on writing a book someday when, I get older and as I grow wiser. That's one of
Mm.
the things I would like to do.
So as you stack up your experiences, you plan to put a few short stories together in a book.
Exactly.
Got it. Nice, nice. Okay. Well, so you've already told us that you were out in Italy. You're in the Air Force. What exactly do you do in the Air Force? If that's something that you can share, or if it's confidential, we understand that as well.
No. So technically, my job is called material management. But in layman's terms, that would naturally be like supply or logistics. I actually do enjoy logistics. It requires way more critical thinking than you would think, especially with being in the Air Force and with everything
Mhm.
that's going on right now. Logistics is at an all-time high, and we have a lot of demand for people in our job. We're actually one of the biggest career fields in the Air Force right
Oh,
now.
nice.
hmm
Logistics. Nice, nice. Okay. Okay, great. Listen, so as I said, we're talking about your life, what it was like navigating abroad. And so tell us, so when did you get stationed? I mean, so like what year and where were you stationed and how long you were stationed there? We'll start.
So I joined the Air Force in 2021. I
Mhm.
left for basic training February 21st, 2021. I ended up graduating kind of like mid-April 2021. And from April all the way until August, I was doing like different trainings, technical school, and I also was able to take some leave. And once I finished my leave, I got my first assignment to Italy. And I got to Italy September 2021.
Mm.
So,
Okay. So you got to Italy in September 2021.
mhm.
And okay, so you got to tell us what ran through your mind when you realized your first stop in your Air Force journey was going to be out of the country and away from your family and friends.
So it's like, naturally, when you're doing things that not a lot of people your age are doing something, the first thing anyone can think of is like, I got to tell somebody. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm telling everybody, I'm going to Italy. I'm gonna be living
Mhm.
abroad. I'm gonna be getting Gucci, Louis, Prada. And I was like, you know what? Wait a minute. I'm a Southern girl.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to be in the South anymore. So I just, all that excitement became like anxiousness,
Mhm.
in a sense, because I knew nothing about Italy,
Mhm.
um, the customs, like, the people, if they were going to be nice or not, the food, all I'm thinking is, I'm going to be over there for 3 years, three
Mhm.
years away from family, 3 years away from friends, 3 years away from my church home. Like, it was just, I was shocked because I
Mhm.
couldn't believe like this was going to be my first stop. I would have thought, someone as young as me, they would have started me out, slow, putting me in a different state.
Hmm.
And then they told me I was going to be one of the only ones in my class to be going abroad. So I didn't even get to, experience something with someone that I had already went through training with. It
Hmm.
was all on my own. So it
Hmm.
was pretty scary, but I was still intrigued.
So was the first part of the excitement like, yeah, I'm moving out the country. Y'all ain't on my level.
Listen, that's exactly what
I
it
didn't,
was.
yeah.
And then somebody was like, "Oh yeah, so you're not going to be home." And I was like, "You're right. I'm not going to be home, and it's going to be hard for me to get home."
Mhm,
So,
mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
you're not just gonna be able to, drive home. You're not gonna be able to swerve on that corner. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. But you say, after that excitement rubbed off, then came in at like that little anxiousness.
Mm.
And so, tell me, how were you able to kind of like deal with that anxiousness at such a young age, like taking off? What was like one of the first things you started to, I guess, do to kind of help with that anxiousness?
So, full transparency, I am a dramatic person and I feel everything that happens to me. So my first thoughts were to, I have to panic, I have to cry a little bit.
Hmm.
But then I had to remember, like, I have God in my life. I have Jesus in my life. There's no like, He didn't make us with fear. We're
Hmm.
not supposed to really feel fear. We're supposed to trust. So,
Hmm.
over time, like probably like within my first couple months, I had to realize this is not something that I can carry on my own. This is
Hmm.
not something that I will be able to get through on my own. So I realized, I have to find a church. I have to, fellowship with people. I have to keep God first because that was the only way that I knew for sure I was going to be able to, make it through living in a different country all by myself, at 19 years old for the first time ever.
Hmm.
That's practically what it was.
Gotcha.
I just had to keep God first, which was a challenge, but I
Mhm.
managed to do because I'm standing here before you today.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So okay, so we get the excitement, we get the anxiety, but then the coping with anxiety by way of your faith and knowing that everything would be well. And of course,
Mhm,
now we're in this position to where it's like a reflection
mhm.
that you're in, your next station location. But so just tell us about how it was like adapting to the culture. Because
Okay.
I've traveled abroad. I've been graced to travel abroad a few places, and it can literally be a complete culture shock, and you feel like like you're sticking out like a sore thumb in certain spots, especially when it comes to like food and all of that. Like you're having to adapt to so much, and then you're also a young female, so kind of talk to us about what it was like adapting to the culture out in Italy.
Okay, so I feel like the biggest thing that at least that mattered to me or stuck out to me, it was three things. Number one, it was food, right? I have noticed that when once you go out of the country to different like places like Italy, Germany, their food is different. Now, they don't have chicken alfredo. Chicken alfredo is a dish that the United States made up, but they don't eat that there. They have their own separate recipes that, they choose to tweak as in like the need for seasonings. They use more herbs than seasoning. So when you think like, oh, like, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and chicken Alfredo, they're using more garlic cloves. So actual vegetables, they're not really reinforcing with garlic powder. They're just a salt and pepper country, little paprika, and maybe chili powder. They believe less is more. And that stuck out to me. It was really hard for me to deal with that only because like I said, from the South, fried chicken, pork chops, meatloaf, they didn't have any of that. They listen, I was asking for hot sauce. They were like, because in their minds, they don't need it. They didn't need it. So that's one thing, the food. Number two is convenience. So like how we are able to go places all the way up to 10 o'clock at night to like grocery shop, regular shop, they didn't have that. Even the gas stations, The gas stations close at 5 p.m. From, I believe, 7 a.m. up until like 5 p.m. They had gas station attendants and they would, pump your gas for you and everything. But after, once 5 o'clock hits, because they are people who believe like anytime they have off, they need to get off immediately. They don't dilly dally, they don't stay behind. Once their work is done, they're done. So, the gas stations will be closed. You can't go in there and get snacks. It's strictly a gas station. You fill up and you leave. Or, if you need jumper cables, you can get that too. But the convenience that we have here in America, they don't believe in. They believe you have all day, a full works day,
Mm,
to manage to get everything that you need. And if you don't, then you have the weekend, and
mhm,
on the weekend they stay like open like a little hour or two later. But the convenience just wasn't there, and that could be frustrating for me,
mhm,
just because I'm used to like, oh, I want a snack, or oh, I want a Coca-Cola. Let me just go to Wawa. I
mhm.
was over there, they didn't have that. If I wanted that, I would have to either go on base and see if they were open, or I'd have to wait till the next day to satisfy a craving. Number three was church. Now, mind you, these are not in any order. I'm just listing, but church is obviously the most important. They are a Catholic, society, Catholic Presbyterian. Um, a lot of the Italian artists were Catholic, and they really believe in the Catholic Church. Now, me personally, I am not Catholic. Um, I did try going to Catholic churches and non-denomination churches, but like coming from a Pentecostal household, Kojic, like I wasn't accustomed to that, so
Mhm,
it came off as in like, oh, this is just something that I don't like. When like I had to learn over time, it's not that I don't like it, I'm just not used to it.
mhm,
So instead of doing that, I would just watch sermons online. I would attend different churches online to see what I like. Typically, I would stick with my home church, which is a Kojic church, when I could catch it when I wasn't working on the weekends. But yeah, those were things that really hit hard. But over time, I did like manage to make ways around it for me to still enjoy myself while I was over there.
Great. Listen, I think that's like a super detailed answer. So, food, convenience, which I thought was interesting because we do have it made. Everything's about convenience here.
Hmm.
Even with sales, when I'm selling, it's about making things as convenient and efficient for my clients and customers. So I that was a great point out that I really didn't think about being abroad. And then lastly, you talked about church and fellowship and how that can look different um, when you're going to live abroad. So those were like some of the challenge, the things that were like took a bit more time for you to adapt to. Let's talk about some things that, like maybe a few things that when you got over there, it was just kind of like plug and play. Like you got there and it didn't take much adapting. It was just simple. Tell us about a few things like that.
Well, I would have to list at number one, shopping, because the fashion, they love fashion. Like when I first got there, how it's so normal for us to go outside in like, a tank top, jeans. I noticed that they were wearing like business casual on the streets. So their fashion was way more like mature for me. And at first I was thinking like, like that's kind of weird. You're wearing work clothes, but as I got older, I was like, you know what, let me try it.
Yeah.
And I came to find out I love a pair of loafers. I
Mhm,
love a nice pair of slacks that fit me nice, and I love like a lounge set. That's what they believe, like that was most comfortable for them.
mhm,
And don't get me wrong, the kids did wear like tank tops, and they had like Tupac on it and Biggie Smalls on there, so they
mhm,
did have a range of fashion. But when you go to bigger cities like Rome, Milan, Florence, that's all that they were wearing. They believe in always looking professional and looking nice no matter where they go.
mhm.
Let's
Okay.
see.
Fashion.
Something else.
Okay. Fashion and what else?
I'd say like um the wine tasting and stuff. So like the culture of drinking. Now they are not like people that get drunk. They believe in having like a nice glass of wine to pair with a meal.
Mhm,
Now, the drinking, I'm not a big drinker. My family's not a big class of drinkers. So, but I did realize like a nice red wine does pair well with a steak. It's all about like the flavoring and tying back to like the seasonings. I could see why they wouldn't all that want all that heavy flavor mixing with the wine. So it was kind of interesting to see like what pairs well with what and what flavors blend together to make a wonderful dinner experience. I did appreciate that, and I did pick up on what kind of wines that I like Moscato and stuff like that. It was nice.
Nice, nice. Okay, so you went over there spending money too. Okay, got it.
Hmm.
Say less. Say less.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of one more thing. So shopping,
Wow.
wine, hmm, the travel.
Okay.
Traveling over there was such a breeze and it was cheap. Like there would be times where I would catch a flight to a different country. Like I remember one time for Christmas, I went to Munich for Christmas since I couldn't go home, and it was like $100 flight.
Uh,
Stayed there for like 4 or 5 days, and just lived it up. Looked at the snow. I managed to get a tattoo out there too. Like I was just their travel opportunities are endless, and that's why one of the reasons why I loved overseas so much, because everything is convenient to where they want you to experience different things. I managed to visit 8 countries while I was over there, and I realized that's such like it's such a stimulating hobby. And
mhm,
that's why back to the drinking, I wasn't a big drinker, so a lot of people would go to the clubs, but I would be catching flights because
mhm,
I'd rather spend the money that you spend in the club on a bottle, on a flight, on accommodations,
mhm,
on memories, on souvenirs.
mhm.
It was just wonderful just to be
Yeah,
able to do that.
okay. So let's let's dive a little bit deeper. So we've gotten into some of the challenges,
Mhm.
things should I say things that took a little bit longer for you to adapt to, some of the things that were easy to transition into. But one thing I know about life is no matter where you are, at some point in time, we're going to start missing family and friends because you grew up, you were born and raised in the States. So tell me about a time, tell us about a time, should I say, where you started to miss family and things became a little challenging for you and you needed to grab hold of hope. Like tell us about a time.
Okay, so like I said, I did get to Italy in 2021.
Mhm,
I was still 19 at the time.
mhm,
I missed my family throughout my whole entire stay there,
mhm,
but I think I felt it the most on days like my birthday, but only like specifically my 21st birthday.
mhm,
I have celebrated my birthday with my family year after year, usually at Thanksgiving.
mhm,
And Thanksgiving also so happens to be my favorite holiday. So the food, like being able to hug my family, talk to them, especially the ones I don't get to see all the time.
mhm,
It really hurt me because I just was cooking all this food and I didn't have like I had friends, but I wanted my family there, and
mhm,
especially for a 21st birthday, that that is a really big like birthday for everybody.
mhm,
It was really difficult being away from my family that whole entire time. I never knew how important it was to, you know, keep in touch with your people until you realize you don't have them. Like
mhm,
I think a lot of people take for granted like the the like being in close proximity with their family until they're away from them.
mhm,
And it strengthened my pull towards them and made me want to do better in all of my relationships in all aspects,
mhm,
communication, everything else, because I couldn't touch them, I couldn't hug them, I had to call them. It
mhm,
was a lot of sad nights, but it was also a lot of happy days because as long as I kept calling, I kept interacting with them, it made the stay easier.
mhm. How did you how did hope help you? How did hope help you during those sad nights?
A lot of sad nights I felt hopeless,
Mhm,
but um I just had to pray and keep praying even if I had nothing to say. I
mhm,
had to pray and ask God for hope.
Mm.
And I had to, get in my word
Mm.
and find strength where I knew I would always find it. And eventually, like, you keep coming to God, you keep communicating with him, he will give you peace. Now, granted, you're always going to miss your family, but he will
Mm.
give you, peace in where you are. And
Right.
him giving me peace gave me hope because I knew everything was going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you said about giving you peace, because I think sometimes we interpret a hopeless situation as a physically hopeless situation. But what
Mhm.
I've learned from life and personal experience, when I felt most hopeless, it's usually been an emotional hopeless,
Mhm.
like something that I'm missing inwardly, rather than like a devastating situation on the outside, or tangibly or physically. So when I hear you saying you had sad nights and you said, they felt hopeless, it sounds like you're saying it was more so of an emotional thing, more so than like your actual experience and tangible things around you being hopeless. Is that accurate to say?
It is. I honestly would qualify that as spiritual warfare.
Mm.
It wasn't like being away from my family made me sit and think like this is what it would be like times 10, by the way,
Mm.
if like I'm here and God is way over here.
Mm.
Why am I so far from God?
Wow,
You know,
that's
like
good.
I would feel closer to my family if I got closer to God because God is family.
Mm.
God is my father.
Mm.
And it took a while. I will admit, like, transparency is very important. I was not consistent over there.
Mm.
But when you're not consistent with God, you feel everything way more. It was just a warfare. It was a battle. Like, do I want to keep feeling this way? No. Well, then I need to talk to God about it. I
Mm.
can't always call my family. Sometimes they're busy. God has always been right there. I always had the phone, I always had the number, and He always picks up. So
Mm.
eventually I had to just get in the groove, like, keep talking to God.
Mm.
And as like I built a schedule, a routine, talking to God, even in regular conversation, going to church online, get into my word, I felt better. And I didn't always have to call my family all the time because I
Mm.
had God.
Mm.
And in him I felt close to them.
Mm.
Oh Lord, that really touched me because it was a fun time, but it was also a hard time being so young, and that's why I can come and smile today because even though I'm physically close to them,
Mm.
I've never been closer to God than I am right now. Spending all that time with Him in Italy.
Nice. You know, I didn't Honestly, that's really powerful, because I did not think about where you said, when I felt distance from when you felt distance from your family, you were able to make that correlation to what it feels like to be distanced from God. And that really, I don't know, I gotta sit on that. That's a real nugget. Like, distance from God can be compared to like the distance from a family. And then getting close to God can fill that hole of distance from family, it can help with navigating through that feeling of feeling distance. And man, that's a lot for me to sit with. So I'm gonna have to sit with that. Thank you for sharing it.
Of
So,
course.
all right. So, of course, this is about navigating abroad, right? So, like, someone's going to be navigating abroad in 6 months or a year or two, and somebody's navigating right now, and they're going to be experiencing some of the same things you've experienced, right? Good, bad, and indifferent. Give them, a few things that they can take away from your experience that will help them find hope during those sad times.
Number one, I really, really can't stress enough that you must keep God first.
Mm.
Like, the time over there felt so long at some points because I felt so far from God and I wasn't talking to him as much as I should
Mm.
have been. And that made the days seem like they weren't even, passing by. It made it seem like they were just going slowly. So number one, keep God first. If this is your, first time coming to him or wanting to build a relationship. Just start walking around the house, calling his name out, talking to him in regular conversation, listen to gospel, do what you need to, to build that relationship so he can hold your hand through a difficult time because I know how difficult it can be.
Mm.
Number two, on a less spiritual note, I would say you need to find something that you like that is healthy for you. Clubbing is fun, yes, but you need to find something that gives you a natural high, a natural feeling that is healthy for you. Traveling, making friends, like book clubs and music. I joined a bowling team. Bowling is just a fun thing. Some people took it serious, but I wanted something that I could do that was extracurricular that gave me a natural stimulant, like dopamine to my brain. Like, you have to find something that you like, or you won't have a good time. Like, the difficult things that you go through, you need to find the good in what seems like a bad situation,
Mhm.
because people never know how living abroad is until they do it. So it was hard to, like, gain advice. And also, everyone's experience is not the same. So
Mhm.
even though the food is different, even though the convenience is gone, even though you may not have a church home, you can find a church online.
Mhm.
Get some hobbies. If you like painting, paint, do like a group paint thing. Once you get friends or whatever, get a car, bowl, do sports. The base will probably offer sports teams. You just have to find something that you can cling on to, that you like.
Mhm. Mhm.
Last thing. Hmm. I would say be true to yourself. There's a lot of, people that are also navigating alongside you, that are also finding themselves, and it's easy to feel influenced, or, taken to something because a group of people are doing it. But you have to realize, like, at the end of the day, this is your life, and
Mhm.
you need to be able to be satisfied with the person that you see.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, when you have a light inside you because you're having a good time, you're staying close with God, you're satisfying yourself, other people will navigate to that and possibly want to do that for themselves.
Mhm.
Not everything you see with people having a good time is what you should take as face value. Some people need to see someone being different so they can be different themselves, so they can feel comfortable themselves. So, keep true to yourself, and do what works for you.
Yeah, I love that list. Faith in God, finding something that's fun and enjoyable, and then being true to yourself. Because here's the reality, Jayla. You know, you're dropping some real good nuggets. Because whether someone is living abroad or not, these are like three fundamental things that's just good for life in general. Like, no matter your age, you know, someone in their adult teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all of these phases of life need God, something fun, and for us to be true to who we are right where we are. Because influence is happening all around us. It's happening through social media, it's happening through television, it's happening on our jobs. It's just happening all around us, in our families, in our friendship circles. It's happening all around us, and it's easy to start to get lost. And so that I mean, these are some like real good like nuggets for life that you are dropping on us. And man, especially that last one, because it's just true. Like, I found myself just the other day saying, what's real about me? Not that I feel like I'm doing anything fake, but it's just like a self-assessment, to where it's like I'm examining what I'm doing and making sure I'm doing it because it's true to who I am, my uniqueness, and of course aligned with, like you've already talked about, our faith. But man, that's those are three powerful things. Man, that's really good. So the people need to know that they need to have faith. Come on now. They need to have something fun that they enjoy to do, and then they need to be true to themselves.
Yes.
Now that you've transitioned, of course, you're still in the Air Force, and you've transitioned from Italy
Mhm.
to a new location, but now you're back in the States and that you're closer to family. What is something that you're being intentional about, to make sure that you don't lose these reflections and memories and experiences of how things felt when you were living abroad, now that you're here and closer to family, and having that convenience? Now you got that convenience, you got that soul food, available to you to a certain degree. Like, what are you doing now to be more intentional about those things?
Okay, so because I'm a part of the There's Hope family, I will, I have no problem getting deep with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I made and I can share this because, he's already done it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I made a promise to God. Like I said, many sad nights. I made a promise to God because I wasn't always consistent. I told God, I said, if you get me out of this alive, because like I said, spiritual warfare is a real thing. If
Mm-hmm.
you get me out of here alive, no anxiety, I'm in a good location to where my family can visit me. And like we have this relationship to where I don't feel far from you. I promise I will make it a priority to keep it that way. I'll go to church, I'll get involved in the church. And it's all about like you want God to do something for you, but faith without works is dead. You
Mm-hmm.
need to give him something because he already has it planned for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I got here, I got to work, I asked a coworker, I was like, hey, like what good churches are out here? And she told me as soon as the weekend I got my car, my family came that next weekend. I had a free Sunday after picking them up. I went straight to church.
Mm-hmm.
They were still asleep up there. I looked on my phone. I said, what time does service start? 10. I made it my priority to get up out of bed. Don't tell anyone what you're doing because this is a promise that you had with God. I had a promise to God that I had to fulfill, and I didn't need anyone to, motivate me to do something that I promised that I was going to do
Mm-hmm.
because God already promised that He was going to give me what I needed according to His will.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to get up and do it. I went to church, came back. By the time I left this house, and also by the time I got back in this house, I found a church. I became a member, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a consistent member. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, things took off. I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning my job. You know, I'm in school right now. I have a nice roof over my head that is within my budget. Praise God. And I'm satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that were bothering me while I was in Italy, like I was breaking out, I'm glowing. Why? Because God is helping me. He
Okay.
is my constant help. And
Yeah.
because I'm, keeping that relationship alive,
Yeah.
that's all he can ask for. And that's all I can thank him for, plus more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
I love it. Yo, I love it. You said something that stuck out to me. You said, I'm satisfied. That's huge. I know I have some years on you in terms of age, but let me tell you, being satisfied in life is better than riches. It really is. It's like, how they say health is wealth? Like
mhm,
being satisfied, it's beyond description because you can't measure it or compare it to anything like money and clothes, and it's it's like it's so much more heavier and fulfilling that you wouldn't give anything up for it. So I'm so happy to hear your expression of satisfaction. Listen, and the beauty about being satisfied with God is, He's always looking to give to us. And I'm not talking about tangible, I'm talking about the things that make our souls complete, the things that keep our souls full, the things that, like you talked about, that keep us true to ourselves, how He's created us. Because He gives us personalities, He gives us talents, He gives us uniqueness in the marketplace, or should I say at the job. So like, man, here you say that you're satisfied. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place to be in. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us. A little bit of your navigating life abroad story with us. Is there anything else that you just kind of like to share with the people before we end the conversation?
hmm. I guess I would have to say, or I feel compelled to say that God isn't looking for perfection.
Mm,
People are also not looking for perfection. Although they crave perfection and they, put on a front for perfection, people like other people that are realistic. And
mm,
one thing that I can say is I'm truthful about my journey.
mm,
It can get ugly at times. It's happy, sometimes sad, sometimes, but ultimately, like it will change you for the better. You just have to stick in there. You are worth being here.
Mm,
These are just trials that you must go through to come out on top.
mm,
And
mm.
the longer that you stick here with us, and go through these things, other people can link arms and we can all stand strong together. So you deserve to be here.
Mm.
We love you. You're smart, you're kind, and we need you here for as long as possible. So don't ever get discouraged and feel like you're better off, you know, dead or whatever. We want you here and we love you for sticking in there.
I love it. I love that message. We're going to leave on that. Like we say, no matter what you've experienced in the past, no matter what you're going through currently, you got to always remember there's hope. Tell the people there's hope, Jayla.
There's hope.
All right. See y'all. See y'all next time. Thanks for joining the conversation.
Bye.
See you.